It's 2 a.m. on a bitterly cold Sydney morning, but the AIX Daddy doesn't care. He's got a job to do. His mksysb backup isn't working. He has one last sip of coffee, and then he logs on. Hey guys, Anthony English here, and I'm going to show you about the mksysb, the AIX backup. This is the most important backup for your AIX environment for the operating system. It's important because it backs up the OS itself. So you use this if you have a disaster, if you have a hardware failure, if you need to recover the operating system, or if the disaster is from human intervention. Well, so a mksysb backup is really a backup of the root volume group. Here we have a root volume group, which is basically the OS itself. And so what we need to do is find a spot to put this mksysb backup first of all. And so I've just done display the file systems DF, and I see that /backup has got a lot of space in it, 22 gigabytes. If you are going to restore your system, if you do some damage to your system, but if you go and wipe out some essential file, delete something, you may need to go back to that backup, to that mksysb backup. Very rare, fortunately, but you may need to do it. Now, the command is really, really simple. It's mksysb, make a system backup, and then you say where the target is. Back in the old days, we used to write that to a tape drive, but that doesn't happen these days. We don't usually have tape drives directly connected to AIX, so we will tend to back it up either through NIM, the Network Installation Manager. I'm not going through that at the moment, or using the make DVD command, which I'm also not doing here, or simply backing up to a file. However, I've got a file system with plenty of space in it. However, before I run the mksysb backup, and I'm going to back up my host to mksysb. Before I do that, I didn't run that command, I turned that into a comment. What I need to do is make sure that we get all of the file systems that are in the root volume group, lsvg-l root vg. Now, I have all of those file systems, but the mksysb backup needs to know how to recover those, how to restore those, what sort of disk, what sort of size file systems do I need on my target system, because one AIX system is different from another. And so to do that, we create a file in the / directory called image.data. Now, there are two ways you can create that. You can run the make size file command, and that will create a new file, but we don't need to do that. We can simply just run mksysb -i, which will create this image.data file. So it's just a list of the logical volumes, all of the logical volumes and the file systems with their mount points that belong to root VG. So it's really, really important to get an up-to-date image.data file. mksysb -i, and then your target file name, which is going to be myhost.mksysb. You could give it a different name. Obviously, you can run this and as a cron job in the cron tab command. Using the cron tab command, you could run it as a cron job. You could you could schedule it. You can redirect output to a different log file, and once the backup has been taken, so that's just writing to a file. Once the backup has been taken, we need to get it off this operating system, because that's the one that's going to crash, right? Okay, we'll stop the video for a few minutes. Okay, so here we are back in a few minutes later, and the mksysb, as you can see, is still running. And one thing that you should do to check if your mksysb is up to date is have a look at that file /image.data. Hooray! Finished successfully. So if we just take a look at that file, image.data, it's not an infallible sign because some people will run the mksysb without the -I flag, or they could do the opposite. They could actually create the make size file, which will create this image.data file, and it may not indicate that there's a good mksysb. So the best thing to do if you want to find out if your mksysb is good is obviously restore it. So one thing you can do to be sure that your mksysb is working is to list the mksysb using the ls mksysb command. So I'll just have a look at the header of that, and you can see there we are. There's our files there and file sizes. Now also shows you the time of the backup. You can do all of this using Smitty as well. System storage management, system backup manager. You've got the options in there to view the backup log and so on, and list the files. Right, one last option that I haven't covered in the mksysb. There are many options. This is just a real basic one. Is the -E flag, which is to exclude certain files. So if you've got a directory or a file system called junk, you could edit the file etc, it's just a text file, exclude.rootvg, and the syntax goes something like this. Actually, I'll just say, if you find it at the start of the line and you find a file system called junk, then I want you to skip that. Okay, and then next time when we run the mksysb command, it will be done with we can run it with the -E flag as well to exclude, and that will exclude any files that are mentioned in there. So that's it from the AIX Daddy. Time for me to get back to sleep. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, if you really like this video, let me know. Subscribe to my channel, share it around, especially on Twitter. I use Twitter a lot, AIX Down Under, and share it around, and if I can see that there are a few hits and a few views on it, well, I might even make some more. This is Anthony English from Sydney, Australia. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.